Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most tense flashpoints in Asia today, America sending warships through the Taiwan Strait, and how China has responded furious would be a mild word. We'll explore why the U.S. does this, what Beijing's reactions are, how Taiwan sees it, what international law says, and what risks this all entails. Let's get right into it. To begin, what is the Taiwan Strait and why is it so important? The Taiwan Strait is the stretch of water between mainland China and the island of Taiwan. Strategically, it's arguably one of the most sensitive maritime zones in the world. It's a key shipping lane, close to major military installations, and lies along the contested line between China's claims and the rivaling view that Taiwan operates as a self-governed entity. China insists Taiwan is part of its territory under its One China policy. Taiwan, though lacking broad diplomatic recognition as an independent country, has its own government, military, and backs its de facto independence. The U.S. does not formally recognize Taiwan as a sovereign state separate from China, but it maintains strong unofficial ties, supports its self-defense capabilities, sells arms, and clearly has an interest in preserving peace and stability in the region. So what does sending warships through the Taiwan Strait mean in practice? The U.S. Navy periodically sends warship, softened destroyers or cruisers, through the strait. These transits are labeled as routine, often as freedom of navigation operations, or simply asserting that the U.S. military flies, sails, and operates anywhere international law allows. These passages are outside of what China considers its territorial waters. Typically, they move through a corridor where high seas freedom of navigation and overflight apply. Under international law, Deutsche Welle +3 Radio Free Asia +3 France 24 +3 Now, China's view, from Beijing's perspective, every such transit is a provocation. China considers Taiwan part of its territory and often claims parts of the strait or certainly airspace around it as under Chinese jurisdiction. When foreign warships pass, especially U.S. vessels, China accuses them of challenging its sovereignty and territorial integrity. Beijing accuses the U.S. of sending wrong signals, emboldening Taiwan separatists, increasing regional security risks, stirring up trouble, and threatening peace in the region. The Chinese military often responds by monitoring the U.S. ships, scrambling warplanes or naval vessels, or even conducting military drills around Taiwan. China Daily +5 Radio Free Asia +5 Deutsche Welle +5 from the U.S. side, and from many analysts, these transits are defended on legal and strategic grounds. First, international maritime law. Under UNCLOS United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, which is widely accepted, nations have rights of transit through international waters, including straits used for international navigation. While China may claim the strait or parts of it, many argue that large swaths are beyond territorial seas, making the passage legally valid. The U.S. often frames these operations as reaffirming the principle that no single state should unilaterally limit maritime access in international straits. Second, the strategic message. By transiting ships regularly, the U.S. is signaling both to China and to allies in the region that it is committed to maintaining a free and open Indo-Pacific. It wants to reassure Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, and other regional partners that it remains engaged, especially amid increasing Chinese military assertiveness. These operations serve as both practical posture and symbolic deterrence. CNBC +3 Al Jazeera +3 France 24 +3 Taiwan's perspective is complicated. On one hand, Taiwan welcomes foreign naval presence near the strait as a form of indirect support. It helps in signaling to China that Taipei is not isolated and that the international community may be watching. Taiwan's defense ministry often monitors these transits closely, deploys its own naval and air assets to watch, and stresses that stability must be maintained. On the other hand, there's risk. Any miscalculation, a miscommunication, an accident at sea, or aggressive maneuvers could escalate into a dangerous standoff. Taiwan has to balance wanting international support without escalating tensions beyond control. Radio Free Asia +2 France 24 +2. Let's discuss some recent instances to give this context. In early 2025, two U.S. Navy ships, the USS Ralph Johnson, a guided missile destroyer, and the USS Bowditch, a survey ship, transited the Taiwan Strait. China condemned this move, saying it was a threat to its sovereignty and security. The Chinese Eastern Theater Command monitored the vessels, tracked them, and issued statements criticizing the U.S. for sending the wrong signals and increasing regional risk. The U.S. responded by reiterating that the transit was routine and legally justified. Radio Free Asia +2 China Daily +2. In another case, the USS Chung Hoon made a transit through the strait in January, and China responded angrily. Beijing claimed that such transits undermine peace, while U.S. authorities emphasized the value of maintaining navigation rights and freedom of passage. Deutsche Welle, these examples illustrate a pattern. U.S. warships transit the strait with some regularity. China responds with monitoring, public condemnation, sometimes military drills or heightened alertness. And both sides make statements emphasizing legal principle, national sovereignty, and deterrence. Neither side wants a direct clash, but each wants to convey resolve. Now, how do international laws and norms factor in? Under international law, especially unclosed straits used for international navigation are afforded special status. Vessels from all countries have rights to pass and overflight, subject to certain limitations, e.g., they must not cause harm or engage in non-peaceful uses. China is a party to UNCLOS and therefore legally bound by its provisions. However, the interpretation of what counts as territorial sea, airspace, or claims of sovereignty differ. For instance, China sometimes regards waters or skies near Taiwan or in the Taiwan Strait as under its jurisdiction, or at least under its claim to buffer zones, which many outside consider exaggerated. Then there's the concept of the median line, an unofficial line in the strait which has held as a de facto buffer between China and Taiwan. Over recent years, China has repeatedly flown aircraft across it or ignored it, eroding its relevance. That contributes to increased risk. Business Insider +2 AP News +2. What are the risks and potential consequences of these operations and the tensions they provoke? Let's enumerate them. Military escalation by accident. When warships or warplanes are in proximity, accidents can happen near misses at sea or in airspace, miscommunication, or wrong assumptions. Diplomatic strain. U.S. China relations are already under pressure over trade, Taiwan, human rights, alliances, and more. Each transit adds fuel to that fire. China often lodges formal protests, issue warnings, and sometimes uses these incidents to galvanize domestic public opinion. Regional stability. Countries in the region, Japan, South Korea, Southeast Asia, watch closely. If China perceives constant threats, it may increase its military readiness, engage in more drills, or posture more aggressively. Neighbors may align more strongly with one side or another. Misleading signals. If the U.S. transits are seen by Taiwan's leadership or by other actors as assurances of protection, but not backed up by further commitments, such signals can lead to miscalculations. Taiwan may rely more on perceived U.S. support. China may test the limits of that support, risk of tit for tat after U.S. transits, China often responds sometimes with military drills around Taiwan, patrols, or overflights. That in turn prompts the U.S. or its allies to respond, raising tensions. Each side might see the other as escalating, even if the intent was just signaling. Let's also consider China's internal motivations. Why is Beijing so reactive? First, domestic politics. The Chinese Communist Party emphasizes national unity, sovereignty, and the reunification of Taiwan, showing responsiveness to any perceived challenge like foreign warships sailing near Taiwan helps sustain its legitimacy among domestic audiences. The image of defending territorial integrity is a powerful one. Second, strategic doctrine. China is increasingly focused on projecting strength in its near seas and preventing what it views as encirclement by U.S. alliances and presence. Third, deterrence. China wants to send signals to both Taiwan and external actors that it will not tolerate activities it deems threatening to its claims. Lastly, continuous operations/demonstrations reinforce China's capabilities and readiness, which are also meant to dissuade foreign naval presence close to its claimed zones. On the U.S. side, motivations also go beyond just law and signal. The U.S. sees strategic competition with China as one of its defining foreign policy challenges, maintaining freedom of navigation, emphasizing international norms, showing commitment to allies, and trying to avoid the perception of retreat are important. Also, there's the domestic political dimension, being seen as resolute in foreign policy, standing up to China, and protecting democratic partners like Taiwan matter in U.S. domestic politics. Let's think about what might happen next. What to watch for. Will China respond more aggressively in future transits? More frequent drills around Taiwan, more overflights, or naval patrols may be encroaching even closer. Will U.S. allies become more involved? Ships from Australia, Canada, the UK, etc. have sometimes joined these transits or operations in the region. That could lead to a networked response or at least more visible international presence. Will Taiwan increase its own military readiness, perhaps procure more advanced systems, or work more closely with U.S./allied forces? What about diplomatic or economic responses? China could also respond with sanctions, diplomatic protests, or media campaigns, or seek to strengthen its rhetorical framing of U.S. actions as provocative. The risk of miscalculation that's always there. An incident between warships or a close flyover that goes wrong could escalate. What about possible solutions or ways to reduce risk? While complete de-escalation is difficult in such a contested situation, some possible steps include more transparency, open channels between military commands, clearer protocols to avoid surprises, agreements on near-term restraint, tacit or formal understandings about how close military assets will approach certain lines, e.g. median lines, or established air defense zones to reduce risk of accidental conflict, multilateral dialogue involving Taiwan, China, U.S., and regional actors could help set norms around transits, patrols, and military exercises to reduce tensions, confidence, building measures, e.g., advance notices of exercises or shared monitoring to reduce suspicion. Overall, this issue sits at the intersection of law, power, strategy, nationalism, and risk. It encapsulates the broader U.S.-China rivalry, Taiwan's uncertain status, and the strategic importance of maritime norms. The transits are not just about warships physically moving from one port to another. They are statements about sovereignty, about international norms, about whose military posture is accepted, and about what is expected in terms of behavior in contested regions. In conclusion, America's sending of warships through the Taiwan Strait is legally defensible under international law and strategically well aligned with U.S. U.S. interests in maintaining a free and open Indo-Pacific. But it also deeply irritates China, which views such actions as threats to its sovereignty, national unity, and regional claims. Taiwan finds itself in a delicate position, gaining support but also exposed to risk. The danger, more than war, is miscalculation, escalation, and erosion of norms that help prevent conflict. If there's one key takeaway, it's this. The Taiwan Strait transits are more than just naval operations. They are a stage on which international law, great power competition, regional fears, and national identities all play out. Watching how U.S., China, Taiwan, and other regional actors manage this tension will tell us a lot about the future of security in the Indo-Pacific. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, leave your thoughts in the comments. What do you think is the right balance? Should the U.S. scale back or press harder? And don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss analysis like this.